What's up, Bomb Squad? It's Jason Cercone back with you here on Podcasting Strategy Simplified. It's episode 109, and today I've got another 5-minute answer to one of your burning questions. Today's question on the table: what makes a listener choose one podcast over another in the same niche? Now, first thing I'd like to say is that there's no saying that a person might not be listening to multiple podcasts in the same niche. They may find value in your show plus 3 or 4 others because you all have interesting slants that they want to be a part of. So don't think that that's not happening. However, to answer the question, how can you make sure you're in that mix? You want to make sure that if people are looking for a specific podcast in a specific niche, and that's where you exist, you're one of the ones that can be chosen. You want to stand out, right? You don't want to blend in, or even worse, scare somebody away because the aesthetics or the name of your show or all of the things that you need to make sure are dialed in are lacking. So let's talk about those items. First off, you want to have a podcast name that is discoverable. If you go back in the archives of this show, you'll hear me talk about this ad nauseum. I rebranded the show to Podcasting Strategy Simplified from Let's Blow This Up back in, I believe, January or February of 2026, because Let's Blow This Up did not speak to what I do, did not speak to what you would learn on this show. It made it harder to discover, and if someone did discover it, the title wasn't telling them what they were going to experience. So I changed the name and everything changed. I started ranking. I started getting more listeners. I started making new contacts. The show started to serve its purpose. So make sure your name is set up to be discovered and it speaks to the point that you are driving home on your show. It is better to be direct with what you're doing versus trying to be cute and clever. Cute and clever doesn't rank. Let's Blow This Up was a great compliment to my brand name, Bombtrack Media, but it didn't do me any justice with what I really needed to accomplish. So focus on having a good name, and that's step one. Next, to accompany that, and just as important, make sure that you have attractive cover art. You do not want to have cover art that looks like it was designed with crayon by a 3-year-old or something that was whipped together in Microsoft Paint. You can get a free version of Canva and design a really nice podcast cover or a good looking thumbnail for YouTube if you're using video as well. Think of this like a party. Your podcast, the activity of listening or viewing like you're doing right now, this is the party. I had to get you in the door a certain way. And I can't do that if I've got a bunch of crap in your way that makes you say, this doesn't look like the party I want to go to. I'm going to go down the street to that other party. That looks like a lot more fun. So you have to set the table to get people in the door. So having that good name, having that good cover, that's like the invitation. Ooh, this looks pretty. I want to go to this party. Now that you've got them in a position where they see a good cover and a good name, now they click and go a little deeper. Make sure you have an accurate show description. Make sure that show description is optimized so it can be discovered within the podcast apps when people are searching for relevant keyword terms. Go look at how I have mine optimized for this show and you'll get an idea of what I'm saying. So now that you've done that, you've got those 3 items in place: good cover, good show name, a good show description that tells a potential listener or viewer what they're going to experience. Now you want to make sure that your episode titles stand out and have a bit of a hook to them, but they're also very descriptive of what I'm going to learn when I click on that particular episode. What makes listeners choose one podcast over another in the same niche? When you see that, the hope is that when you click on it and listen or view it, you're going to get an answer to that question. Have I done my part? I'm hopefully doing that as we go on here. But that's the idea. Once you click play, because you grab their attention with a very good show name, or episode name, I should say, episode title, whatever you want to deem it. They click play. Now they're in the door. They're at your party. Now you can hit them with some great content that provides an impact. Most importantly, answers their friggin' question. Gives them a feeling of satisfaction that, yes, this was time well spent. I got an answer to my question. I was entertained. I learned. Now I like what this person has to say and I want to know more about them. How can I do that? Well, I've got this catalog of content. Let's keep this party going. So now they can go through the catalog, find more content that jumps out at them. One mistake I will say that many podcasters make that you do not want to fall prey to: do not do your episode titles as episode 72 with Joe Smith. No one knows who the hell Joe Smith is, so they don't know what you and Joe Smith talk about. Anytime you have a guest or anytime you're doing solo content, you want to make sure that your episode titles are set up with hooks. So when people see them and they go through that discovery process of being attracted to you by the episode cover, liking the name of your show, seeing the podcast description and understanding what the show's about, then getting to the lineup of episodes, and there's a bunch of grabby, very engaging hooks that say, wow, this is what I'm looking for. I'm going to press the play button and see what this is all about. One additional thing you can do is make sure that your show notes are properly optimized. Now, by optimizing show notes, I'm not saying that you have to write out blog posts. You don't have to write long books. You want to provide a quick summary of what that person is going to learn. This is sometimes very cold traffic. They are coming to you for the first time. So the more information you can give them, the better. But at the same time, you don't want to give them something that's so long to read that they check out and then they never press play. So make sure that in your show notes, you've got a nice summary of what the episode's about, maybe a link or two that's a resource that was mentioned in the show, but you're setting them up to press play because that's where the action is. That's the party. So follow this process and you are going to put yourself in a great position for potential listeners and viewers to choose your podcast over someone else in your niche. And with that, I'm going to bring the curtain down on episode 109 of Podcasting Strategy Simplified. Do you have a burning question that you would like answered on the show? If so, go to the SpeakPipe link in the show notes, record a quick message with that question, and I will make sure that I answer it on an upcoming episode of Podcasting Strategy Simplified. Until our paths cross again on the next episode, my name is Jason Cercone, reminding you that podcasting isn't easy, but it doesn't need to be complicated. I'll see you next time.